Welcome to another episode of Toya Talks Wrestling. Today we're going to talk about Raw, October 28th, 2024. This Raw was pretty bleh. It is the go-home show for Crown Jewel, so I wasn't really expecting much. But let's go ahead and talk about some things that could be important. So let's talk about the triple threat tag team match for the number one contender spot. You had the War Raiders versus LWO versus New Day. This match lasted about 18 minutes, I believe. It probably was the longest match of the show. It was a really good one. It ended up where the New Day had, I think they had Dragon Lee about to do the midnight hour, but Rey Mysterio went on the apron, and for some reason, instead of doing the move, Xavier Woods jumped down from the top, the top rope, and just dealt with Rey Mysterio during that time. Here comes the War Raiders going to attack Kingston, and ended up getting the win and then also what happened was Chad Gable got involved, where he put Rey Mysterio in a ankle lock out the outside ring. So he gave basically the win by doing their finisher move on Kofi Kingston, and so they are going to be the number one contenders at some later date. I don't know when this match is going to be between the Judgment Day, but I assume that the War Raiders will take it, because there's no real need for the Finn and JD to have the tag titles, and they're not going to do anything with it. You know what I mean? And I also don't know what this means with Woods and Kofi Kingston, because Kofi Kingston was pretty upset that, Woods didn't, pull the trigger, because they could have easily had won that match, and had that he would have done the, the midnight hour, they would have pinned the person and everything else. But for some reason, he was too focused on Rey Mysterio, and so there was a missed opportunity. I don't know where this is going between these two guys. It's every day, every Monday, it's you can see, okay, Woods is turn heel. Well, no, maybe Kofi's turn heel. I have no idea. But next month is their 10-year anniversary, so we'll see what happens. I don't know, maybe Big E comes in for the save or something. I have no idea, but it's very interesting where this is going. And yeah, I predict that the War Raiders will win the titles off of the Judgment. Speaking of Judgment Day, let's go talk about them. So Judgment Day was backstage with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was on the phone with Nick Aldis, talking about things that happened earlier in that show, which I will explain later. But they were saying, hey, who is Dominic Mysterio's opponent is later on tonight, which was the main event of the night, by the way. And Adam Pearce was Adam Pearce always looks like he's just stressed out, right? He just looks stressed out, like Nick Aldis always looks cool, calm, and collected. Adam Pearce just looks man, he just has this bunch of wild kids and just trying to take care of them or something like that. But yeah, anyway, so not Nick Aldis, but Adam Pearce was fine. You know what? You know who this person very well is Damian Priest, right? So obviously, I figured it would be Damian Priest. So that got kind of Finn kind of mad and everything else, and all this other stuff, and they're Dominic was I can handle Damian Priest, I know all his tricks, and Finn Balor's well, no disrespect to you, Dom, but you don't know all his tricks. I've known Damian Priest longer than you have. I know every darn thing and everything else. And Dominic Mysterio's look, guys, I can handle it. Matter of fact, I'm going out there by myself. So everyone was okay, sure, whatever. They was oh yeah, I know you can do it, Dommy, whatever, and all this other stuff. Later on in the show, go to the match. And of course, Damian Priest is pretty much destroying Dom and everything else. And then, of course, the Judgment Day don't listen. They come out and they do distractions and stuff like that. There comes distraction. Here comes Carlito and JD McDonough, and they're like trying to attack him and everything else. And Damian Priest ends up getting a chair and starts attacking JD and starts attacking Carlito and everything else. And as he's attacking him, here comes Dominic Mysterio. He comes in for the roll up for the 1, 2, 3, and gets the win off of Damian Priest. So Dominic Mysterio won his match. So he's gonna, at a later date, or maybe next week, I have no idea, go against Gunther for the titles. Obviously not going to win. It's just someone to just feed Gunther to or something. I don't know why, but sure, whatever. But yeah, so like Damian Priest was so like pissed off. He just pretty much started destroying everybody in the ring, and like Liv was like telling him no and everything else. I mean, he was just destroying like Carlito and JD, and like he beat the shit out of fucking Dominic Mysterio with the chair. Like, if you didn't know any better and this was like the first time you ever watched this show and you've never like watched wrestling before, you would think that Damian Priest was the heel and Dominic Mysterio was the babyface, because that is how bad that beating was. I was like, wow, dude, like, calm down. Damian Priest is supposed to be the face around here. Like, I was like, wow. But I mean, I get it. You're mad that he got the win and everything else. But yeah. So I don't know when that match is between Dominic Mysterio and Gunther is, but yeah, Gunther's definitely gonna keep his title. So no worries there. Another thing that happened was Seth Rollins went to the ring and was basically talking about how Bronson Reed is a monster, but how he is a monster too, and that Bronson Reed took it back out of him. People didn't realize or don't realize how much of a monster he can be and how destructive he can be and everything else. And then you have Bronson Reed basically go on to the Titantron and say that he wasn't allowed to be nowhere near Seth Rollins, go to the building. But if Seth Rollins wants to fight, he's right there in the parking lot, right? And of course Seth Rollins goes out there because it's Seth Rollins, right? Not go out there. And Adam Pearce is like, you already got your match, why are you doing this? I don't care about the match, I want him right now, right? And then they start going at it and everything else, and they fight and all this other stuff. And they of course had like a car, and next to the car they had like the like a semi truck thing, and I think Rollins hit Reed with the door of the semi truck a couple of times, and then he did a freaking like a curve stop on the car. Reed's head, ouch. And then you start the way it was, right? It was so freaking cool, right? So Rollins is going towards the camera and he's talking to the camera, and you can see Rollins in the camera, but in the background it's like you just see Reed emerge up from the car and slowly just like emerging up from the background. It's a beautiful scene, right? It's like, if you haven't seen it, it's such a beautiful scene. You see him there and he's rising up and he's going and he's destroying the security and everything else. And Rollins sees him in the background and he turns around and they start fighting again, and they're going on top of the car again and they're fighting, and they does some kind of a driver. There's like a bunch of tables stacked, and there's like tables stacked and there's a cloth over the tables, and Bronson Reed does like some kind of driver to Seth Rollins on the tables. And Adam Pearce is coming out there and calling for medic and everything else, and Bronson Reed just gets up like it's just nothing and slowly is like backing off and walking away, and they're like getting medic and everything else. I am like so excited for this match at Crown Jewel. It's probably one of the few matches that I'm actually excited about at Crown Jewel. Now, if you ask me, if this feud is gonna go on, I think that it would only be right for Rollins to win, right? And then, like, I can see this feud going like, okay, Crown Jewel, you have Rollins win at Crown Jewel, and then maybe go again at Survivor Series, where there Reed wins at Survivor Series, and then like Saturday main event, whoever wins like the whole thing. And I think it should be Bronson Reed. Okay, I think it should be Bronson Reed because I don't see why you would need to have Rollins win. He's already established, you know what I'm saying? He's one of like the Raw's top stars. He don't need it. If it's a one and done, then you'd have Bronson Reed win at Crown Jewel. But if it's not, and it's like gonna be like a three thing, you know, three whatever, the best of three, then you definitely need to have Bronson Reed win. And this, after he wins, say after like when if Sheamus wins the IC title off of Braun Breaker at WrestleMania, which should be a thing, because if it doesn't happen at this WrestleMania, it's probably never gonna happen. I don't think anyway. But if and when it does happen, you know, then you could have Bronson Reed go after that title and have him fight Sheamus for the title, maybe at SummerSlam or a later date. But you know, I think Bronson Reed needs to have some gold. I think he's deserving of the gold. That's just my opinion. Anyways, let's talk about the last thing. We're talking about the basically the bloodline, all of the bloodline, new, old, and indifferent. So you had Jey Uso on the show, and you know, he's basically talking about what he had to do to the Tama Tongas because, you know, he got his title taken away. So it was only fair that he got that title taken away. But basically, he called out Jimmy because he said he wanted to talk to Jimmy. So Jimmy comes out and everything else. And Jimmy basically was like telling, you know, Jey, hey, thank you for what you did on SmackDown. I appreciate it and everything else. And you try to go for the hug, and Jey, you know, Jimmy was talking about how, you know, they're not the ones talking about, you know, Solo thing, and that we're the ones, and Jay's like, nope, we're not the ones either. No, we're not the ones either. It's like, look, he's like, basically, look, while you were gone doing your own thing, I was doing my own thing. I was, you know, winning belt, you know, I was winning matches and everything else. I became the IC champion without you. I did this without you. I did a lot of things without you. They know you as No Yeet. They know me as Yeet. You know, they finally, you know, we're finally no longer like twins. Like, they don't reckon like who's who anymore. They know exactly who's who now. You know what I mean? And he's like, but there's no other time I've had better than being your twin. I was like, oh, how cute. Where's the 90s? Oh, you know. Anyway, so it's like, he's like, look, if we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this together, it's gonna be us together. We're no longer like the lackeys. We're no longer yes men. We have made our mark in this business, that we are no longer like below or of anyone. And then, you know, anyone being Roman Reigns and everything else. Like, we are our own man. I'm not doing this if that's not the case. And Jimmy is like, okay, I get it. I understand. He's like, tell you what, why don't you come to SmackDown and talk to Roman and we can squash this beef. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, Jey Uso agreed to go talk to Roman. So there is a step right there. We're in a right step right now. We're going to talk to Roman. Now, the thing is, Roman Reigns is going to have to look at Jimmy and Jey as equals and not someone below than him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at Roman Reigns did a great job, but if it wasn't for Jey and Jimmy, Roman Reigns probably wouldn't have half the damn shit that he had when he had the whole bloodline, and he was like the tribal chief. You know what I mean? I mean, he still is, but you know, he had all what he had because of Jay and Jimmy. So they all need to treat each other like equals. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, no one's gonna be above anybody else. That being said, they were about to like shake hands and hug it out. Here comes the bloodline, Solo and company. They had Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa attack, you know, Jay and Jimmy. And eventually, you know, Jimmy and Jay were getting the best of them. So, you know, Solo sends in Jacob Fatu. And, you know, Jacob Fatu starts, you know, doing his thing and everything else. And basically had Jimmy tied into the ropes. And he was about to do the Samoan, the thing on the corner where the hip. Jacob Fatu was about to do the Samoan hip thing to the corner with Jay. Because Solo Sikoa had, you know, had thrown in a chair, and so you know they had the Jacob Fatu put the chair around Jay's neck, and he was about to do the same thing that had they did to Jimmy, where Jimmy was out for 6 months. He was about to do it, and then Jay got out of it and throws the chair at this Jacob's face. He gets basically gets Jimmy out of the ropes by attacking both the Tama Tongans, and then you know they super kick the Tongans and they super kick Jacob Fatu, and Solo's Bloodline 2.0 ends up going up the ramp and everything else, where you see Pierce and a bunch of securities basically escorting them out of the arena or whatever and everything else, or at least out the ramp, right? So that's one segment. So then you have another segment where, you know, Jay and Jimmy are like walking backstage and they run into Sami Zayn. And I'm like, oh, it's on now, right? It's on, right? Here's Sami, honorary Uce. And they run into Sami Zayn, and Sami is like, yo, can I talk to you, Jay? Alone, right? And of course, you know, he's like, yeah, what's up? I mean, like, alone, right? And Jimmy's like looking like at Sami, mean-mugging him, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, we got a problem with me or something like that, or whatever. And, you know, Jay's like, yo, calm down, like, relax, I'll meet you at the locker room, whatever, let me talk to him, right? And Sammy's like, so is Jay and Jimmy again? Is the Usos back and everything else? After all he's done to you, after everything's done to you, you're just gonna go back to SmackDown to make everything all better and everything else? Like, you don't have to go through all this stuff. This has nothing to do with you. You said so yourself, that you're your own man. That Jay was like, you don't understand, like, Solo Sikoa is worse than Roman Reigns. It's like, yeah, but Solo Sikoa wasn't trying to manipulate you and try to brainwash you and try to make you go through hoops and everything like that and all this other stuff. Like, I don't understand, why are you doing this, right? And Jay pretty much was like, yeah, you don't understand because you're not family Uce, right? And then you can see that Jay, like, he didn't really want to say that, but it kind of hurt him, and it's like, he walked away, and Sami Zayn's like shaking his head, like, okay. So then later on in the show, another segment, they have, you know, Jimmy comes up to Jay and it's like, hey, how'd the talk go with Sami? And Jay's like, I told Sami that he's not family. Jimmy's like, well, he's not, right? And he's like, look, man, when you were gone, Sami Zayn was there for me. You know, he was having my back every time and all this other stuff. You know, man, never mind. You just don't get it. You don't understand. He's like, look. And Jay's like, not Jay. Jimmy's like, look, I'll tell you what. I'll go talk to Sami. And Jay's like, no, because if you talk to him, something bad's going to happen and everything else. And Jimmy's like, no, look, I'm just going to talk to him. I'm going to set things straight, okay? Later on in the show, you have Jimmy asking around to see who, where Sami is, right? And, you know, some guy says he's back there somewhere, whatever. And you see, Jimmy go up high, like a window thing, right? That's a window that is, that you can look out of it. I think it's behind, like, there's like a parking lot at the window, so you look out the window, there's a parking lot, whatever, right? And then here comes Jay, and Jay's like, did you find Sami yet? And Jimmy's like, shh, like, you know, be quiet, right? And he tells them to look out the window. And what do you see out the window? You see Sami Zayn talking to Solo Sikoa. And, you know, Jimmy's like, see, I told you, it's all about family, right? It's us and Roman. That's us, right? There is no other thing. There is no other. We have to do it ourselves, right? Pretty much. And Jay's like, yeet, right? And it ended up with that. So now you have the situation where, you know, what is Sami doing talking to Solo Sikoa? Or maybe Solo is talking to Sami. I have no idea. We just see, you don't really hear anybody talking. You just see them in the background talking to each other. I think that Sami Zayn will end up going to Roman Reigns, right? The thing is, can he be trusted, right? You know, is he going to flip? Is he going to turn? What is he going to do? Like, what is happening? What is going on? What is going to happen here? I think he goes. Like I said, I think he definitely goes, and he's part of the Survivor Series. He's on Team Roman and everything else. I don't know if they have like some sort of a match or something going on, or maybe they'll have some match that will happen at SmackDown where they'll call out and say, hey, these three versus these three, and you know, they ended up and then Sami Zayn ends up helping, you know, like Roman, Jay, and Jimmy at Crown Jewel, or even maybe at SmackDown. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's being said. And for that, I love the situation, because I like the situation because it doesn't give out the way it's like, oh, you know, Jay talking, you know, trying to talk maybe Sami Zayn into their group or anything like that. That Sami Zayn's gonna have to once again work his way back into the group like he did back in 2022, and he had to like work his way into the group. Like, here's the thing, right? When it comes to Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, I feel like Sami Zayn saved the Bloodline a lot because he brought the comedy factor into the Bloodline. Because at one point it was like everything was serious, and then, you know, when Sami came in, it was like, okay, we're gonna do some jokes and everything else. Like, it was serious, but they had a little bit of comedy in there too. But it was like Jey Uso did not trust Sami Zayn. So now it's gonna be like, well, now they're gonna have to redo this over again, where you're gonna be like, okay, Sami Zayn needs to earn the trust of Jay, Jimmy, and Roman again, right? Cause especially Jay, right? Because it's like, why are you talking to Solo? For what reason? I don't know. For all we know, Sami Zayn is gonna be like, you know, why are you doing this? You know, Jey Uso don't have nothing to do with it. I can understand why you have, you know, maybe I feel like Sami Zayn is very protective of Jey Uso. Always has been. Even back when Jey Uso hated Sami Zayn was very protective over Jay, right? Always had Jay's back. So I don't really think that Sami is doing this to despite Jay or anything like that. I think maybe Sami is talking to Solo to just be like, yo, leave him alone, some shit like that or whatever. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens on SmackDown when Jay talks to Roman, and we'll see what happens at Crown Jewel or anything else like that. But I'm pretty much guaranteed that Sami Zayn will be on Team Roman at Survivor Series, or Team Original Bloodline, I should say, at Survivor Series. But that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys probably next week. Bye.